Dean Matt and Shannon Yeager are on the line, and they're here to talk about their daring attempt known as the 48-48-48 Pickleball Challenge. Not only are they both aviation enthusiasts, but they also share a love for this game that has them bouncing off the walls. And they've just purchased a Cessna Turbo 206 and are ready to take to each state to prove that they are true champions of the game. Now, this is interesting because Dean is talking to us via Zoom, and then Shannon is talking to us on the phone, but we can still see him. He's explained to me how that technology works. I'm going to try that someday. But good afternoon to you both, or good morning. I know it's quite early there.
Hello, Toby. Good afternoon.
So, what is this challenge, basically? Because is this something that's been done before, or are you kind of inventing it? Because it sounds so out there.
Well, there's, if I may, there's a lot of Guinness World Records that they have. We actually had to work with Guinness World Records to come up with the criteria for this category. And here in the States, they've got, we have 50 states, but our orphans are Alaska and Hawaii. So they have they've recognized what they call the contiguous United States, or we call it the lower 48 states. And what Shannon and I are going to do is hop in a plane. We're going to play pickleball in each of these states. We're going to leave May 1st out of Sarasota, Florida, go clockwise around the country, and hopefully get back here by May 26th. Shannon, anything to that?
Yeah, well, the interesting part to me is that, people have done all kinds of reasons to go and visit places. Well, we really enjoy the pickleball, and it's about the people that you meet and the differences in play just around the United States. I've also played a little bit internationally, and it's different when you play internationally, but because the U.S. is so big and there's quite a variety of both people and how they play this game. So it's neat for us to be able to go around and see how different people play the game, how they interact with it. And of course, the good reason for us to get in our airplane and go scoot around the country. It'll take us a little over 80 flying hours to accomplish this. And we're hoping to get recognized by Guinness, but it's just one of those things that it's one of those endurance events. I've run those things where 12 people get in the van and we run 200 miles by foot. So this is kind of one of those things. We're going to get out, we're going to play an active game, then go get crammed in a little tin can and go fly to the next one, and then get out and play it again. So it's pretty fun and exciting, and we're looking forward to looking around the country.
It certainly sounds exciting. Is it going to be quite tiring doing a pickleball game every day and you're constantly on the move?
Well, we're actually going to be doing more than one per day in most locations. To be able to pull this off, we're actually we're not going to give away the bag too much here, but we're going to try this in a lot less than 48 days. Remember, this is about the record that we're going for is actually the fastest to accomplish the 48 games in 48 states.
Yeah.
So we think we can do it in less time. So we're going to be attempting to do definitely more than 2 games in a day and sometimes 3 games in a day, including the flying between. So that means getting out and playing actively and then getting in a tin can for 2 or 3 hours to fly to the next place, get out, go racing down to the place to play, and then get out and play actively again. And that's the difficult part. I don't know if you've ever done where you've been real active and then sat very tight for a little while, and your muscles don't like you too much when you do it. So it is a physical challenge in that respect.
I think, Toby, also that playing the games is not going to be tiring at all. I mean, 30 minutes, and we're not going to be out there, trying to set any records of gameplay or anything. It's really about playing with different types of people. I think we're going to be playing with disadvantaged youth, Special Olympics, professionals, mayors, even some governors along the way. And I think when we take off May 1st, it's going to be very exciting. And I think Shannon and I will be anxious to get home by the time we get to our last days here.
So have you kind of already sort of planned this out? I mean, like where you're going to fly to and from and where you're going to actually play the games? And where do you play the games? Is it like in the airfield, or do you have to travel a bit after landing?
The first thing we did, I have this idea. I saw this guy called James Lawrence here in the States. He's known as the Iron Cowboy. He went to all 50 states. He did 50 Ironman triathlons in 50 days in 50 states. Crazy. It's an inspirational story to watch the documentary. So with this plane we have, I ran into Shannon playing some pickleball. He's a great pilot. And I said, I kind of want to do this. So there's a sequence of events here. One, find a partner to do it with. So boom, check that box. Find some sponsors. The first sponsor we reached out to was Selkirk. They're big here in the United States and all over the world, actually, with their pickleball paddles and gears and all of that. They're great ambassador for the sport. They said we're in, so we got some backing there. Then the next step is to lay out the route. My first question was, do they play pickleball in Bismarck, North Dakota? Because I didn't even know if they do, and that fear was put away really quick. Pickleball is being played everywhere, so we laid out the route rather than find venues, because you can find a venue in Miami, Florida, which, if you know anything about the United States, is way south, and you're wasting a lot of airtime to get to it. So we laid out a route around the interior of the United States, but we touched every state. And then I've been working over the last month and a half, 2 months, to call the visitors bureaus and other people and connections that we know in each of these states and say, we're coming to your city. Here's what we're all about. Find us a venue, find us people to play. We need ground transportation back and forth, and some states we're going to need hotels where we're staying overnight. And every city, not 60% or so, every city thinks this is the best thing that ever happened to them. So we're anxious to get this thing started.
Yeah. And how come you're not doing all 50 states? Are a couple in particular just a bit too far to go?
Well, Shannon could talk about that because he flies all over the world.
So, yeah, I've definitely flown planes myself to our very distant home states of Alaska and Hawaii. But those two up in this kind of little airplane that we're flying, it is not practical at all to fly. In fact, there's only one way I know that we can make it, and the two of us probably couldn't be in the airplane to make it happen. So it's just it's a practical reality, and we wanted to be doing this entirely on our own. So we really didn't want to involve commercial air transportation. That's not part of it. It's not part of the adventure. It's us doing it, and that, I think, is kind of the reason why we did it. Who knows? In the future, maybe we include Canada, Mexico, and the Caribbean, because we can get to those in this airplane.
Maybe Alaska could be easier than Hawaii, because you could refuel somewhere in Canada, couldn't you? We
could, but that's just going to add so much time. Again, we're trying to get a record, trying to compress it down, and that would take us just thousands of miles out of the way. And we're really trying to get where we plan the route so that, some of our state visits are literally 100 to 200 miles away from our next state visit. So it keeps it really tight, again, because we're trying to get ourselves a record here too.
And you mentioned earlier that hopefully the pickleball matches aren't going to end up in you being tired, because that's not the whole aim of it. And I guess that's quite an important point, because being tired and flying a plane generally isn't a good idea.
Well, that's why there's two of us, number one. And we will be adhering to general safety rules, because as my profession, I'm a pilot as a profession.
Yeah.
So I do realize that, but that's why there's two of us. That allows us to be able to switch off. It allows us to actually get some rest while we're flying. And again, when you look at the duty day, if you will, of us actually doing the flying portion, that's well within accepted norms for us to be able to play a game, fly, and play a game. Just that what we're trying to do is to limit our ground time and our distances, which makes this possible. And that means it goes back to the venues that he was talking about. So in the venue side, sometimes we're playing at the airport, believe it or not. I know at one stop, we're going to be taping out a court on the actual airplane ramp at the Aircraft Owners House Association in Maryland. But in other places, we will have to get into a car and then drive into town a little bit, because that's part of the sponsorship, et cetera. We're going to be playing at some well-known pickleball venues, and then we'll have to drive back to the airport, and that just blows some of that duty day time. So we're trying to keep all that to the lowest possible, and the distances to the lowest possible.
Yeah. In some stops where we're not staying overnight, Toby, we'll be on the ground probably 3 hours at the most.
Yeah.
The stop in Maryland that Shannon's referring to, we'll probably be on the ground there 2 hours. We're going to land, we're going to literally fall out of the airplane. There'll be a taped out court there with a portable net. We'll play there, depending on if we need to refuel or not. We'll be back in the air probably in less than 2 hours.
Do you anticipate any kind of delays that that could happen either because of airspace or just for any other reason. I mean, have you factored that in?
Well, we anticipate that along the route over this adventure, there'll be some maybe weather delays.
Yeah.
We did not anticipate airspace delays, although our president lives in Delaware and he seems to go there every weekend. And we should be on an IFR, an instrument flight plan, so hopefully we're not getting shut out of Delaware. But you never know what comes up along the route. Bad weather could shut us down for a day. Now, what we factored in, to answer your question about anticipation, what we factored in is every week, or it's going to be maybe a 3-week adventure, we'll have a spacer day. In case there's bad weather, we'll use that day to kind of catch up along the route. If there's not bad weather, we'll just relax that day and get caught up on other things.
That's nice.
We'll get caught up on laundry because we will smell.
Yeah.
Yes, laundry.
So if it does turn out that there's no problems and you can relax on these spacer days, is it going to be quite annoying? Because that could have been a day that you could have been progressing and made this an even better record attempt.
I mean, it is. The problem is logistics. This is a big logistics problem that Dean is dealing with here. And the reason we really have the spacer days is because the hard part is if we get messed up in the beginning and then it pushes all the date, that's a problem. So we want it because we're time critical on the ground. It was better to go ahead and plan the extra block so that when we do get on the ground, we know that it's going to be there and those people know we're coming and it's planned for the people to play. Because per the Guinness folks, I have to track this all with a GPS. I have to keep it as downloadable data. And then I also have every person we play, we have to have a picture with them. We have to have video with them, and we have to have them sign with the final score of each game. So we got to get it done. We got to have people there to do it. We can't expect to land in the city and put one of these together at the last minute.
How do you think, for both of you, your experience as pilots over the years has prepared you for this?
For me, the piloting part is kind of the easy part. I'm a 22,000 hour pilot, and again, I fly for a living. So for me, it's an adventure because I still very much enjoy flying. Which I don't know if you've talked to some aviators who do it as a living, they're not quite so happy doing it anymore. I still love it. I enjoy flying small airplanes. And so it's good for me to go back and fly these small airplanes because I enjoy seeing the U.S. or any country for that matter from 3,000 feet. It looks different than from 30,000 feet. And it definitely looks different than walking on it.
Yeah.
And in the U.S. especially, it's such a wide variety. So it really inspires me to go out and to do this. So from my perspective, the experience that I have, I believe has set me up so that we'll be as safe as we can possibly be. And I just want to be there as a backup because really this is Dean's real idea here. This is his thing, and I get lucky enough to tag along as kind of the safety guy to make sure that we get that flying part done. As
a passenger on a plane, I probably share this view with most passengers. There's a thrill of flying, isn't there? Does that thrill ever go away as a pilot?
Well, for me, it doesn't. I will say that there are some people in the aviation industry that after they've been flying for 10, 15 years, are kind of like, yay, it's flying. But I'm still actually very fit. I fly a lot, and I fly a lot when I'm not working because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I also do flight instruction because I enjoy it. And one of the pleasures that I get out is to see pilots like Dean who might not have gone on a long cross-country adventure across all of the United States that makes me excited to see what his impressions are as we fly around the country. I really enjoy seeing people experience this kind of flying on the long stuff. So Dean's been flying a long time, since he was 17 years old. He's been flying. But I don't think he's done 80 hours in this small of a block before. So I'm interested to see how it goes for him.
Yeah.
I think anyone's done 80 hours. I've been, so I have about a tenth of the hours that Shannon has. So I call him the real pilot. Well, we're both instrument rated. And, I've been on long cross countries across the United States, over the mountains, Denver and Los Angeles and whatnot. And when I could count on one hand the number of times I've done that, five times. I've used to live in Chicago and been on these long trips. I've done a lot of flying up and down the East Coast here in the last couple of years, but still this is a big adventure for me, and as it is for Shannon, even though he's been all around the world. So it's going to be a big adventure. We're planning it out, but we just chop it into little pieces. Our longest leg is going to be 5 hours. That's really not that long. Most of the legs are going to average 2 to 3 hours, if that. Those are very manageable things. So once we turn that key and get that engine started, I think that's as Shannon said earlier, that's the easy part. And we'll just have to manage weather and stuff like that. The planning is really taking its toll right now. You said, will we get tired? And Shannon and I kind of joke about this. The only thing we're going to be tired about is each other after 8 hours in an airplane.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been in some of these small airplanes, but you see my shoulder? He'll be sitting touching my shoulder for about 80 hours. So that it's even worse than two-handed sailing across the ocean, because we are very close together.
Yeah. And you two are professional pilots, so this probably doesn't scare you as much as the average person, but is a small plane like a Cessna 206 quite turbulent?
Especially when we go out towards the western part of the country, the answer is yes. There will definitely be bumpy days because we're going to be forced to fly in the afternoon time. And the afternoon time around the mountains especially is not usually real pleasant in the summer. So yes, we're going to be bouncing around inside of there and things that a lot of passengers will very much dislike. But since we're used to it, and we also can hold on to those controls in the front, we'll be fine, and we're not going to push the limits of the aircraft because, again, we built in some time in case that happens.
Because you don't have any passengers to risk discomforting, can you speed up the process a bit? Maybe do a bit of a bumpy landing because nobody's going to complain about it. You can just get in and out as quick as possible.
Well, I don't know about Dean, but a lot of people say all my landings are bumpy. No, I think that we're not going to be able to, we really won't be pushing any different than it is. What will happen is that if I had passengers, I might have elected to probably not go there or fly a different altitude, whereas we're going to be more focused on the most efficient time to get there. That's a little bit of a different focus. So we're still, going to be doing everything safe and well within safety margins, but our general drive is of efficiency as opposed to comfort of passengers.
Yeah. So it starts on the 1st of May and 26th of May, you predict you're going to finish, right? I mean, is that a kind of thing that's set in stone and you maybe have to finish that day because you've booked stuff?
Well, it's logistics. It's going to be a problem if we have to, if the first week goes by well, there's no weather, boom, we'll be out in Scottsdale, Arizona for 2 days, taking a day off. If there is weather along that route in that first week, then we won't be sitting around at a pool on the 7th day in Scottsdale. We'll have to use that to start our other leg. But if we do encounter weather and we do have to tell the folks downstream of us, hey, we're not going to be there on Tuesday at 5 o'clock. It's going to be Wednesday at 5 o'clock. They've got to do a lot of scrambling on the ground. So we're very reliant and thankful for I call them our city or venue ambassadors. They could be the venue owner, a pickleball club owner, the park district commissioner who's letting us use their park district and getting the media out there and all that stuff. We have to alert them that there may be a delay or a switch in the time. I'd rather be on my end than on their end because they've got to scramble. They've got to change court reservations and talk to the media and juggle a lot of things. So we'll see how it goes. On paper everything is perfect, but half of this adventure is dealing with the unknown. So we'll just have to figure it out as we go along.
And if it goes well, do you think you'll do it again some other time and try and beat your record?
We'd have to see how this first one ends, right? We talk to each other when this is over. If we do, then who knows? Because then we could add on Alaska and Hawaii. We'll just change the plane up.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, having the Guinness endorsement, it gives some credibility to the event. But if we get a Guinness record or not, I just want to showcase all the people that play. I think Shannon's the same way too. Just showcase all the different places that pickleball is played, even at an airport tarmac. Country clubs, professional pickleball places, in gymnasiums and community centers all over, and the different people that play pickleball, and that's what's in it for me.
Well, where are we able to support you both in your campaign and keep up to date with the progress?
Yeah, so you could follow along. We've got a pretty robust website with, we just shot a video with some pickleball pros out in Daytona. That's on there as well. Our website is Mucho, MUCHO - Dean, which is my name, DEAN Aero, AERO, like aeronautical, Mucho-Dean-Aero.com. And on that website, there'll be a tab. It says the Pickleball Challenge. It's got all of our routing. There's even a button at the bottom. It says, where in the world is Mucho Dinero? You could click that button and it goes to our airspace website, and you could kind of see where we are, where we've been. There's also a news media or a content tab on there, media content, where you could follow articles like and podcasts like this. We're going to post this on there as well. So that's where people can kind of follow along. We hope to do a daily blog, just a brief one, because we're not going to have much time as we travel. We could fill in some more details later, but we'll have a daily blog that will be on that website as well. And along each of our stops, we'll have local media to cover the event. Not only the world record attempt, right, that Shannon and I are doing, but to showcase the pickleball community in all 48 states.
Well, many thanks to both of you for coming on today, and good luck.
Well, thank you, Toby.
Thank you.